George. I'm an immigrant, and I'm against the importation of most of the engineers working in Silicon Valley. For years, I've watched qualified engineers being passed over for cheaper imported workers, primarily from India. Well, the India thing is like another big touch point in this whole debate because India is by far and away, I think it's like 70% of the H-1Bs are held by Indians.
Yeah,
you got 1.5 billion Indians on the planet, and a lot of them want to come here and work. Here, real quick, I want to tell you about why Refi. Private student loan debt in the U.S. totals about $300 billion. About $45 billion of that is labeled as distressed. Why Refi refinances distressed or defaulted private student loans that others simply will not touch. They provide you with a custom loan payment based on your ability to pay, and that is the key here, folks. So they're not going to just give you a one-size-fits-all thing. They're going to talk to you. They're going to look at your credit. They're going to look at your ability to pay, your monthly budget, and they're going to take your existing student loan, and they are going to make it so that you can make monthly payments that fit within your budget. So that is the key. Other people don't do that. They say, here's what it's going to cost. Here's what we're doing. They will insure interest rates under 6%. They even let you skip a payment every 6 months up to 12 times with no penalty. Please check them out. They're great patriots. They support the show. They support Turning Point USA. Amazing people. 888-YREFI34, 888-YREFI34, or log on to yrefy.com. That's yrefy.com. Welcome back, radio, in 1 second. All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. We're getting your emails here, freedom@charliekirk.com. Larry says, you join the military, they train us after the Navy. The company trained us to run machines, not a bunch of foreigners. Thanks. So anyways, that's it says, War Room had great input. This is from Sunny. Companies in Georgia, Hyundai plant hiring people on H-1B visas and having them live as indentured servants. This is totally true. I mean, this happens all the time, where companies will say, oh, we're just, we're bringing these skilled workers, and these people are living like, slaves, basically. We shouldn't allow that in our country. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. It's also a numbers thing. So it's just like you brought up India. India's middle class, literally equivalent to the United States, is almost our entire U.S. population. And it's just the numbers don't really add up. You can't import enough people and just expect that America will stay the same. But then on top of that, we'll claim capitalism, but it's actually corporatism, which is just they're looking for cheap labor is what it is, and it's a problem because it's also just like a violation of human rights that you're bringing in somebody because it's cheaper and they can do the job equivalent to you. They can't do it better than you, but they can do it cheaper than you. So then we'll import them.
I got an email here from Krista. She says, hi, Andrew, Mike, and all the Charlie Kirk Show team. Want to start off by saying you're doing an amazing job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She goes on and on. Very kind. Thank you, Krista. But then she says, my question is about a very apparent disconnect between the MAGA base and what's coming out of the White House. She's talking about H-1B visas, the economy, 50-year mortgages. I know that Charlie was an advocate to Trump. So a lot of people are talking about this online, that Charlie was the voice of the base. We really did aspire to be that, by the way, to be the voice of the base and to make sure the admin was connected to all of you out in the audience. That's still going on. I would just say that, look to some of the clips that are coming out, for example, from JD Vance on immigration, right? So for example, this is a little bit longer clip, 40 seconds long, 186. This is JD Vance at Ole Miss. These messages are in the admin still, and so we got to kind of parse through the signal and the noise here. 186.
In about 1 million legal immigrants into the United States of America every single year. And I think the evidence is pretty clear that a lot of those immigrants are actually undercutting the wages of American workers. It's one of the reasons why the President of the United States, and a lot of us in the administration have encouraged H-1B reform, because if you look at the H-1B visa, what it's supposed to be is that you have a super genius who's studying at an American university, who's working at a great company. You want that super genius to stay in the United States of America and not go somewhere else. What it's actually used to do is hire an accountant at a 50% discount to an American citizen. I don't think that we should be hiring accountants from foreign countries when we've got accountants right here in the United States that would love to work for a good wage.
All right, so I am completely on board with America is for Americans, but I have to put a piece of evidence here that we all need to struggle with here. Go throw up image 239. Joe Bob, you can look at my screen if you need. This is at UCSD's Math 2 course. It teaches grade school math, grades 1 through 8, to freshmen. Okay, this is from the university's own report. 29% of students got 7 plus 2 equals blank plus 6 wrong. So 7 plus 2 is obviously 9, so that would be 3 plus 6. But 25% of the students got that wrong. 61% students, a large majority, couldn't round 374, 518 to the nearest 100, which would be 374, 500. 37% of students couldn't subtract fractions. UCSD is ranked as the nation's 5th best public university. And this tweet concludes by universities are cooked. So there has been a degradation of our own talent development system, to your point. College is a scam. Mm-hmm. And we are seeing the fruits of that. We are paying the piper. At some point, the debt must be paid.
Well, yeah, and I think just to reiterate, my priority would be to train Americans to do American jobs. What I think I'm trying to say with the nuance between what President Trump is saying is I think we're just trying to understand where he's coming from, right? That's I think, my basis here. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you don't have an education structure that allows students to be able to succeed in the workforce, then what is the education structure? Like, okay, cool. You know all of the genders and all of you've colored your hair and you've done all that sort of stuff, but you don't actually have any tangible skill to be applied to the American workforce. That's where you need to reset the university system.
Yeah, we got an email that said, America first means Americans first. And I somewhat agree with that. And
I totally
especially
agree.
that,
100% agree with that.
And look, my grandfather, he helped build, the spaceships during the 80s, and he had no skill. He had no experience. He went in there. He didn't know geometry. He didn't know any of this stuff. And he tells these hilarious stories where he's like, and I just had to figure it out. Look, same thing was for me. When I first started working for Charlie, I literally had no idea how to properly write an email, how to book a rental car, how to do any of this stuff. Mm-hmm. We figure it out. Americans figure it out. Americans first.
America first. We'll be right back.